My name is Andy Edwards. I've been a professional musician for about 30 years, played in various bands. I've also been a music teacher for very many years, um, but I'm no longer a music teacher because a few years back decided to go into YouTubing, and I now make my living out of a music YouTube that I set up around about 3 years ago. And through setting that up, I had to learn how to monetize YouTube and then actually try and work out how to monetize beyond YouTube. So you're making money on other platforms. And you get the bug once you're making money on online, you just want to try and make more and more money. So I've explored so many different platforms. And over the last 3 years, it's made me realize that in terms of the music industry, a lot of people who are coming up through it, in bands or songwriters or producers, they they the trouble is we're working on an old model of how to make money, and that's dead, and it's absolutely gone, and it's dead. And so you really have to rethink how you're going to make money online as a musician, and you have to really see what your product is and how you're going to monetize your product, which is really means monetizing your audience. Now, I would rather do this question and answer than just chat to you like this because it's you may as well just watch a video. I could go home and film this online, so it's much better to take any questions from you. If you've got any questions at the moment, far away, and I'll start there. If you've got any, don't be shy.
For sort of emerging bands, what would be the that have just sort of started to gain a following? What would be the first step to sort of monetizing from YouTube?
Patreon,
It's quite
Patreon,
say
simple
again,
as
oh
that.
Patreon, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you are in a band and you're trying to get gigs, you're wasting your time. You don't need to get gigs. Why do you want to get gigs for? That's like the old days. You don't need gigs, right? If you're like trying to record an album or a demo or a CD or get your tracks up on Spotify, why would you want to do that? There's no money in that. And all bands know this. But in terms of a band or an artist, a music artist, the first thing you should be thinking of is a patron. So I'm going to go to my patron now, right? And you can see that I've got 788 members in Patreon. I've put up 567 posts since I started it, which is about 2 years ago. And at the moment, that's making me 1,126 quid a month, right? Now, what's going on there is those 788 members, most of those are free members. So they have joined up and they are free. They're not paying for anything, right? And then around about 280 are paid. And most of them, if we go down to here, you could see there's different posts I've put up, right? So here is this video here is called. Now you got to remember, I'm a musician and I'm a music YouTuber, right? So you can see here I'm playing the guitar by a river, right? And if you look on that one is if you wanted to watch that, you've got to click on that. And then it'll ask you to join. And you've got two tiers that you can join on mine, but you can set up the tiers exactly how you want. Well, actually three technically, because you can become a free member, or you can become an official patron, which is £5 a month, or you can become I've renamed it now, I can't remember what it's called, and that's 25 quid a month. And the ones who are paying, you've got to understand that that money comes in every month. Now, YouTube money's not like that. I have to work, put videos up, and I have to get ad revenue, and I have to work, hustle to make the money. But the Patreon money is my basic money because this comes in as regular as clockwork, and every month it goes up a little bit. Does that make sense? So if I had a band, what I would be doing, I'd be thinking like this, and it's really simple. You set up a Patreon, you set it up for free members, and you set it up for paid members. You just have those two tiers. And then your job as a band is to drive people to become free members. And once they're free members, your next thing is to drive the free members to become paid members. Okay? So I'm just going to show you how my Patreon works. As you can see, that's a music related one. But look at this one here. This one's called Important News About the Bittern. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the bittern is the loudest bird in the UK, and its population has gone up recently, which is quite good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I would have also thought if the population's gone up, if they're the loudest bird, this could not be good, couldn't it? It could be that the UK gets overrun with bitterns. And I thought my patrons might be a bit worried about it. So I've done a little post here, and you can see I'm talking about the bittern. Oh, you have to unlock it, you see. I think you can watch
Hello, welcome to this video. And on this video, I want to discuss the fact that the world's, not the world's, sorry, the UK's loudest bird, which is the bittern, has made a resurgence.
I just said all this, mate.
And is there's more of them now. And that's a good thing, isn't it? Because
Right, so you can see the whole point with Patreon is if you've got a band or a songwriter, you don't have to just stick your songs in there. You can put whatever you want. And in today's climate, it's not about you being an artist. It's about you being a personality that makes music. And it was always like that. If you're in a band or you're a solo artist, you want to get a deal, they signed you because you got a personality. That's what they signed you on. And so anything you do, if you like train spotting, if you're scratching your ass in the morning, if video it, you put it up, you can pull up anything in here. Now you can see I'm sat in my car. I've got a camera mounted inside my car. I can drop my iPhone and I'll just, every time I'm driving, and some guy the other day said, "Oh my God, Andy's actually monetized him driving." And I have, because every time I drive somewhere, I'll switch on and chat about something. And I'd put the radio on and they said that story and I just said what I thought about it. Now, it's not all that abstract. As we go down here, there's me talking about creative compulsion. And this is a video about, for artists, because I've got a lot of musicians in my page, and that's a video about not considering what you're doing next too much, just getting on with it and making products and not being a perfectionist because it will kill your career. This one is two of my patrons that went out to see a gig and they sent me that video. So I just banged that up. That's free, so you can watch that for free. Right, I got a new album out today. Now 780 people in this. So I don't have to go on Facebook and tell anyone about the album. I'm going to just go straight to Patreon. So I got a new album out today. And now I can get deep into Patreon. The other thing that's great about Patreon is you can actually sell digital products on here as well. So you can sell your albums straight from Patreon. So once you've got the principle as a band that's your Patreon your product is not gigs. You do gigs to get patrons. Your product is not your tracks or even your songs. You make songs to get patrons. Because once you've got your patrons, your audience is there. And you can see at some point, if you drive it, when you've got a gig, you just go to your patron and say, "We're doing this gig." Now, of course, you could offer the gigs for cheaper. You could even offer the gigs for free. You could set up all sorts of things within Patreon. Right. And there's other things, there's other ways of doing this. You could do something very similar on Substack, but Substack is different. There's other platforms you could do this on. But really, a band, their fundamental product should not be their music, their songs, because you can't make money out of music and songs anymore. Right. You can't make money out of gigs unless you're like been around for 40 years, and you got 500,000 people turning up. The only way you can monetize your band is have them captured and then paying you every month. Now, BandCamp also offers this as well. Now, I suggest you do every single way of capturing, but for me, the one that's worked better than anything else is Patreon. And I think it's because it was set up by musicians and they put all the right stuff in. It's absolutely brilliant. I had a prog band called Rain. When we formed, I said, forget making albums. We got a deal. We signed. We had a deal. We did our first album. It did really well in all the magazines. And at that point, I said, let's set up a Patreon. But I can't do the content for the Patreon on my own. I need you guys in the band to do it. And because they're normal musicians, they haven't got a clue about the industry anymore. They didn't do anything, right? Nothing. So no content went up. Every now and then I'd put some content up. And I got to be honest, I just copied the same content in my Patreon. So I'll put a bit of the content up in this Patreon. But the truth is, nobody Nobody put anything up. It just sat there. But the fact that we were doing gigs and the fact that we were doing, like, we had a few albums out, maybe a few magazine interviews, some videos on YouTube, bizarrely, people were signing up to the Rain Patreon without us knowing. Now, last night for this interview, I went to check that Patreon to see what's in there. And even though no content has gone in for a year and nobody's put anything in, there's $1,300 in there, $1,300 in there. Now, if you've got a band, if you go and do a gig, you're doing that gig and you're getting out into the audience, and you're going, oh, come and join us on Patreon, it's free and you can keep up and you do all that. Now, all your social networking things like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, they're all pretty useless, but they do what they do. TikTok, actually, you'll be able to get really big numbers on TikTok if you do it right, very quickly. Facebook is virtually, if that's only any good for networking. Instagram's pretty good. But all they're doing is you're putting stuff up that's basically saying, we're a band, this is what we're off to. If you want to know more, come to Patreon. Blah, 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 come to Patreon. Okay? That is fundamentally, that's the longest answer in history, but that is this bit of the lecture, and I've done it straight up front. This is my big advice, is go on Patreon. Now, if you're going to do this, set your Patreon up tonight, right? Set your Patreon up, start looking around it, join a few other people's patrons, come and join mine for free. You don't have to pay for it, just so you can see how it works. Right. If once your patrons up and you're going, I don't know what content to do. I've got to be honest, when I first set up, I didn't know what content to do. And it seemed like this thing that I was having to do for like 4 people, And one of the things I would do is, if you've got a band, I would set up the Patreon and spend 6 months just banging stuff in. And so when you launch it, you'll pick up a fan and they'll go across to it and they go, oh, let's check this out. And then they go, oh my God, there's so much content here. I'll become a free member. And then when they get in, they can see about 25%. And then this is the problem with online. At this point, your content's got to be compelling, right? So you've got to bring people in, right? The BandCamp is actually a beautiful website. It's a really good place to bring people who want to listen to your music, because you can design it and it looks really nice. I actually change the look of mine every few months, so it's changing all the time, because that makes people go, oh, it's changed, I'll have another look. Also, I've changed most of my album covers, because I started to realize the better I could get the album cover, the more people would click on it. So the visual side and the graphic side is really important. This year, right? If you can see, you get down to here and there's no more albums. You can't see the albums. If you click here, right, there's all these other albums. Now, these are the subscription albums. Now, I am now moving over to a subscriber model, right? Now, I used to have my albums up for a price, okay? And I made no money. Once I got the YouTube up, I made every single album £0, but pay what you want. Now, this is a really important thing you've got to understand about doing music. When you do music, you start creating an audience. Some of that audience you've got are poor and they can't afford anything. Well, you want to give your tracks to them. You want to give away your stuff to them, because they can't afford it. Because even though they can't afford it, they're still going to tell their mates they really love it. But you will get people who are millionaires. And when a millionaire goes to BandCamp, if you give them the choice of paying what they want, because they feel guilty, they will buy your album for 40 quid. All right. This is what you have to understand. In the music business, you don't give them a price. You say, pay what you want. I'm an artist. You're not paying for my product. You're paying to sponsor and support me because you like what I'm doing, and pay what you want. And if you can't pay anything, have it all for free. That's the music side of it. And so I've now gone over to a subscription model. It's only 15 quid. For 15 quid, you get 50 albums, right? Or they can go on here and feel very guilty. Now, because they're clicking on albums like this, and you can see this album. How much have I got this up for? Say, buy digital album. That's actually up to 4 quid, because now I've got subscription. I put some payment in to try and up direct people over to subscription. So there on Bandcamp, you now have your captured audience. You really want them on the subscription. Of course, Bandcamp, you can sell merchandise, right? And that means gigs. So that was a gig I did, and I marketed that myself on my YouTube, and then sold the tickets on there, and they handled all that. And you could sell your CDs through that, vinyl, whatever you want. Absolutely brilliant. And some of the bands I've been in. Once you've got a following, and you then get a CD pressed or vinyl pressed, your fans will buy that and they'll spend money on it. But that's further on down the line. Okay. So the Bandcamp and your Patreon would be for me the fundamental place where your audience resides. Okay. And the music industry is about you having an audience. If somebody books U2 to do a gig, they don't book U2 because they're the best band in the world. They book U2 because they've got an audience and they'll buy tickets. And that's your job as a band, is to create an audience. And the brilliant thing about being online now is Patreon and Bandcamp. Now I think I got 600 Bandcamp followers, and I've got 700 patrons. It's two different audiences, absolutely two different audiences. So almost like doubles up. Now I'm going to tell you something else about Patreon. Once you've got your Patreon, you can save your patrons as a file. Jack, what would that file be called? That CSV file, is it? Yeah, CSV file. So then when you go over to Bandcamp, if you start opening a Bandcamp and you've got 200 patrons, when you drop that CSV file, they'll be automatically put in. Your audience is your best friends. It's like they're there. It's like you've cultivated this little army. Now you're probably wondering how I did that. Well, it's my YouTube. We could have a conversation about Spotify, right? And people will tell you, well, Spotify's terrible, you don't make any money out of it. You do. And the cut of Spotify is the best advertising cuts there is. It's better than YouTube. But the problem with Spotify is you have to own your tracks, which means you have to not be signed. If you're signed, you're now not making money out of Spotify. If you own your own masters, then you're going to get 60% of the ad revenue for Spotify. On YouTube, it's 44%. Okay. So on Spotify, you're going to get 60%, but it's such a minute amount off each ad that the only way you can make yourself rich is to be Joe Rogan and have a 4-hour podcast up. So if I use Spotify for podcasting, your fans will sit and listen to an hour podcast by your band. Now, if you want to get stuff up easy onto Spotify, right, and you don't want to go through one of these digital things, if you set a Substack up, if you set a Substack up, it won't only make you money, right, but it will also automatically upload any audio up onto Spotify or any streaming service you want. You don't have to pay anything for it. So I will literally, if I'm driving back from a gig, I'll stick my iPhone on the dashboard and I'm with my mate, and I said, "Should we just chat about gig stories?" And I will literally chat to my mate on the way home about gig stories, and then when I get home, I'll get the audio and I'll zap it into Substack. It'll take about 10 minutes, bang, and then it appears on Spotify and it starts making me money. Right? Your band is not just about making music, it's about telling stories, having adventures, it's about taking photographs, filming video. And I mean, I'm an old bloke now, so I don't do much that's exciting, but I can remember being on tour and I've fallen into animal pits, I've broken ribs, I've done all sorts of stuff. And I wish I had that on video, because that's what's going to make your band. Your fans love the music, but once you've got to get them to buy into you. Anyway, let's get into YouTube, shall we?
You were saying before, is it only through sort of YouTube that you can funnel people over to Patreon, or can you sort of
funnel people however you could think to funnel people?
But can they find you organically on Patreon? Is kind of what I'm saying. So if you created a Patreon,
So when you go on there, you go on as so if when you go onto Patreon, you're there as a creator, but you're also there as a member. So you can sign up to other people's patrons. So I would say sign up to all your favorite bands' patrons and check it out. And supposedly people could go on Patreon and search and find you and all that, right? It's not ever going to happen. So I've got 51,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have put up on YouTube, and I can't believe this, 1,000 videos. Now my videos are average about an hour long, right? And I've got 1,000 of them up there. I release videos every single day, okay, on YouTube. Now, I set this YouTube up a long time ago to put my drumming up, and nobody watched it at all. It just sat there like everybody's YouTube, and nobody was watching it. And so you sit there and you get your band, you got your YouTube, you band your YouTube, and you spend a ton of money. And after 6 months, you finally got maybe a promo video if you got your act together. You put it up onto YouTube, and it does like 300 views. Right? Because YouTube doesn't work like that. It's like YouTube, you have to have the algorithm pointing at you. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you the secret of YouTube, right? And it's very, very simple. You stick a video up every single day. It's as simple as that. Right? Stick a video up every single day, and that video will do usually if you start from scratch, it'll usually do about 50 views. If you stick a video up every single day, at the end of that week, you've got 350 views. That's 1,400 views a month. And at that point, at the end of that month, YouTube goes, oh, hang on, there's 1,400. And because you answer every comment on there, right? The algorithm also goes that videos don't get that many views, but there's a lot of discussion going on there. Now, you might want to ask yourself, what can you put up every single day? Well, if you're doing anything, you can. Now, I started, if I show you here. So this video here, this is a standard. So this one here has had 174,000 views. It's got 5,000 likes. And if I click on it, where's the chat? Because the chat is very important and I can't see the chat, but there's probably around about 2,000 comments on there. Now, on YouTube, you need to get a certain amount of watch hours and you need to get 1,000. I can't remember the watch hours. I think it's 3,000 or 4,000. And you need to get 1,000 subscribers. It took me 9 months to get 1,000 subscribers, right? It now takes me about 2.5 weeks to get 1,000 subscribers. So everything on YouTube is exponential. It's always building and building and building. Now, because I now have this YouTube, I set up another YouTube 2 weeks ago, and I've just started that up. And I've got up to 600 subscribers in 2 weeks. Now, that's partly because I have this YouTube. This YouTube is incredibly powerful. Because if I was to come on, if you had a band and I came on and said, everyone go and buy this band, go and check them out, go and join their Patreon, you will get people going across. Right? YouTube is like this because the way YouTube makes its money is advertising directly to a certain person. Right? So I can go into my YouTube and I can tell you that the average age of my YouTube is around about 50 to 60 years old. They're progressive rock fans, experimental music fans, because that's the subjects I cover. A lot of them are computer based, a lot of them are very professional. So my YouTube's great because the demographic that watches mine actually have spare cash and they're into computer products and all that type of stuff. And YouTube knows that, so they can put ads up in this. Right, my videos last usually around about an hour to an hour and a half. In that time, you're probably going to get about 20 or 30 adverts, right? I have no copyright on there because I create all the content myself. And so I get the whole bunch of the ad revenue and then that's 44%. This is another really great thing to have, and anyone can set this up. That's my PayPal tip jar. Right, so anybody can just go on there, click send and put money in for no reason whatsoever. So when you're doing a gig, you've got to be there saying, if you like what we're doing, this is the PayPal tip jar. Get your phones out, everybody, stick some money in the PayPal tip jar, right? subscribe, become a member on our Patreon. And that's what you don't want to tell them about YouTube, but YouTube is your digital way of reaching out and getting an audience, as is Instagram and as is TikTok. And I'd like to say Facebook, but Facebook's never going to let you get that because they want you to pay for that. Instagram's a little bit better, and you probably all know this in terms of the social networking, but don't think that they're your products. They're just ways of getting your band out. So you really want as many as you possibly can. You need as much out there online, right? And you need content going up every single day, right? What I've explained to you today is how you monetize your band. Once you set up like this, it becomes quite obvious what you've got to do. Your band's got to get out there and bring people to this. Now, I haven't mentioned how you do that. And the other thing I haven't mentioned is how you create content people want to watch, why they watch. And I've done 1,000 videos. When I first started, I had a music YouTube and I was just putting my drums up and stuff like that. And then in COVID, I was bored. So I ranked a band's albums. I said, these are my, and I ranked them best to worst. And I put that up, forgot about it. I looked there about 2 months later and it does 7,000 views. And I was like, wow, that's a bit weird because it's got nothing to do with my site. And then I realized the algorithm will work. If you give them something they want, the algorithm will work. So I did another one and it did the same thing. So I thought, I'm just going to do 3 of these a week. Now, back then, I didn't have a video editor. I had nothing. All I got was an old video camera with a memory stick in, and I literally would do them onto the video camera, take the memory stick out, and then just upload it on my computer up. I didn't used to do thumbnails, nothing. But because I did 3 a week, and I was working with Scotland. Can you remember when I just would not stop?
Yeah.
And I just, because this is then you got to hold your position, and you're going to sit there for a long time banging out those videos. Now it's more difficult for a band, okay? And this would be a harder conversation to have of what does a band put up on YouTube or Instagram to pull that audience in? Because if they go into a studio and spend all their money recording a brilliant track, then they go and have a video shot and that costs them more money. Then they put it up online. If that video is well shot, YouTube will find it and you'll do quite well. If you get a good song with a good video, I know that any band start from scratch will get 5,000 views off that video. And that's a really good way of establishing a band, is to get yourself a proper video shot off a really good track. And this is where Scott can really help you, because you should be working with them saying, we've got these songs, which one should we take into the studio? Which one do you think people are like? You got to know which song to go for. How do we produce it? How do we make it sound good? So often I've had bands where I've worked with Scott in the past. We've got a great band, they got a good song, but when you put them with a good producer, that producer earns their money, and suddenly you go, oh my God, they sound amazing. Then you find a good videographer. I would say if I was forming a band, I'd have guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, singer, and then I'd have videographer, photographer, technical type. I'd have one of those on the case as well in the band, and I'd have a graphic designer in the band. You want them in the band so that they can all start working. Creative people, and that can find a way, because the truth is, the actual content is the thing that I realized about YouTube was I started watching Mr. Beast videos, and I was watching all Mr. Beast, and I realized what Mr. Beast does is he goes, I'm going to drive a train into a canyon. And so he goes, I'm going to drive a train into a canyon. And you see that as a title, and then you see a thumbnail and you see a AI of a train flying into a canyon, and you go, I want to see a train flying into a canyon. So you click on it. And the first thing he does is he comes on and he goes, I'm going to drive a train into a canyon. He tells you straight off what he's going to do. So you can go, oh, good, this is what I came for. And he's going to do it. And then the next thing, he drives a train into a canyon, and you're happy because he's delivered what you wanted early on. There's so many YouTubers that get this wrong, including big YouTubers. You say what you're going to do, then you do it. Then once you do it again, but a bit bigger. So now he says, we're now going to drive another train into a canyon and we're going to blow it up. Oh, I'll stick around for that. That's even better. That's your middle part of your YouTube. And then he says, now what we're going to do is we're going to drive the train off the top of an aeroplane into a canyon with sharks, tethered to it. I don't know. And you go, oh my God, I didn't expect this. So your YouTube video has to be structured in that way. You give them what you want, then you give them something they didn't, and then you do something really strange. And that was a revelation for me when I was doing my sort of top tens very seriously, trying to be like a proper YouTuber and talk properly and do all that stuff. And then one day I'd had so many comments off idiots, I lost my temper at the end of the video, and I was going to edit it off. And I went on a rant, and the rant did better than the video. So I started to do rants, and the rants got more and more advanced, if you like. And then I started to invent comedy characters. I started to create surreal situations. I suddenly realized that I could start doing an album review. Like, so I did an album, this band Henge was one of my favorite bands. They said, can you review our album? And I said, there's no point in reviewing an album. No one will click on an album review because you're not big enough. I said, what I'll do is I'll do the top 10 bands from outer space. And I put them in the top 10. More people want to see, the top 10 bands from outer space. So I did the top 10 bands from outer space. Henge are in it. And then halfway through the video, I turned around and went, real strange thing happened to me the other day. You won't believe it. I had an extraterrestrial experience. And at that point, I went into a mini movie at me at home. And this alien appears, and I went to the window, UFO comes flying down, right? This thing arrives and this album gets there. And I went on this thing. So people are going, oh, what the hell's happening? And my lot, because I get 1 million people watching mine a month now, and you can see them going, I'm stopping to the end here because I don't know what Annie's going to do. They stopped to the end. I once did a video that I edited wrong. It went for half an hour, and then after half an hour, it went straight back to the beginning again and did the whole video half an hour again. And I'm watching them then, you go, well, Andy's weird, isn't he? Why has he done this for? Oh, it means something, doesn't it? What does it mean? And I'm like going, bloody, and I said, yeah, it's something to do with time, isn't it? So I came up with this thing, time loops. I said, there's time loops in my videos. There's esoteric knowledge. Why has he got that in the background? Why is that there? And it's like, it's so bonkers. As creative people, as soon as they let themselves off you can all do it. You just got to let yourself off the leash. So Ben has said, how would you scale this for a group in a band who are working? What does that mean?
So we've probably got daytime jobs.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Just because I think there was a couple of questions I put on there actually, but probably just ask you.
I didn't see them because I've been sharing the screen. I'm going to
no, not a problem. I just
stop the share now because
I think it's difficult to know how to delegate, because I wondered how much time you spend and how many days you're spending on that, and what would be the sort of things that you would see as quick wins for a band to be like, okay.
That's a good question. So the way I see it is that when you're in a band, you should never plan anything that you can't do that outreaches you. You see, so if you're going to put video up, you get it together in a band and go, how many videos are we going to put up a week? How many Instagram posts are we going to put up? Now, if you decide it's only going to be one a week, it's one a week forever. And you do one a week. That's the most important thing, so that your fan base will go, on a Friday night, we'll get a video from them. On a Tuesday, we get an Instagram. So that's the first thing. If all you could do is film something on your phone and zip it up, anyone can do that. And actually, I've found so many different things that you can do. Product is the key. And the point is here, if you think you're in a band and your job is to write songs and then get these songs out there and get them up on Spotify, it's not. They're a tiny bit of the product of being in a band. Your videos that go up, your Instagram posts, your YouTube posts, they're as important, if not more important, than your actual music. You could, if I was managing a band, I would say, right, I would not launch them till they're sorted. That's the first thing that mistake a band make. You don't launch till you're sorted. Most people, they go in a room, they rehearse for like 2 weeks, they write 3 songs, and they're booking a gig. Absolute wrong thing to do. So you form a band, and start writing songs like a real band would. Once you've written like 30 songs, would you say? Write 30 songs so you get good at writing songs, and then get somebody like a producer, Scott, this is why you're on this thing, and say, right, you pick the 10 best songs, then send it over, and then let somebody else go, I think this song's really good, because you never know what your good song is. And then once you've got that, you say, right, we are going to record that song and shoot a video for it. And then you then launch and you say, this is the band. And on September the whatever, we are going to be launching our first single. And then you just, the journey through, you are then going to go, right, we're at the studio to do that. Now we're trying on socks, whatever, whatever. And if you're not doing anything, you can't do anything. And then you'll start to think, well, we should be doing something. So you do a photo shoot, you'll need photos, you'll need a logo done, you'll need artwork for it, you'll need what else? You'll need to find a producer, video producer. You might want to talk to other bands, you might go and see other bands, it's like whatever you're doing, just document it. Don't edit it, because you haven't got time to do that. Once you're bigger and you can get someone to do that for you, but you just start off by doing that. And just I would say YouTube, I would go for at least one video a week, which is long form. So it's a long form video, half an hour, 20 minutes is a good one for YouTube to start off with. So one 20-minute video. Now that might just be a rehearsal. Okay, but don't just put a camera in the corner and film the rehearsal for 20 minutes. You've got to talk and chat. You've got to like bring people in. So it's all like, we're at the rehearsal today, and so-and-so's forgot his bass drum. Why have you forgotten your bass drum, you idiot? Well, couldn't find it. It was really rushing, and I couldn't, it's all that bit. And people go, oh, this is really fun. Get a snippet. I used to be in a progressive rock band in the 20 years ago called Frost. And we were one of the first bands to utilize YouTube, and we became, I think, the 10th biggest music YouTube in the UK at the time. And the one thing we did is we never really had the music. We'd film a gig, we'd be in the dressing room, we'd leave the dressing room, we'd walk out, we'd go onto the side of the stage, and then we'd go up, we'd start playing, you'd hear the first song start, and then it would cut to the next thing. And so you have to focus on that, and that actually holds your stuff back. It's very easy. Once you know how to do it, it's very easy to do. And if you've got a band, I mean, I'm on my own with 4 people, my God. Because you need content for that Patreon. You set your Patreon up straight off. You start writing the songs, you start documenting it. You use first of all, your mates are going to come in, free members. Some of them might it's a slow process that you just got to hold your position. So has that answered that? I'm happy to come back once you've digested this. I'll come back and go through content.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the other thing with content is it can be as weird as you possibly like. And the thing is, once you start to get a following, I mean, I literally could put a video up of anything now and it would get views on my YouTube. Anything. Literally just film a bin. It's slow, and he's fallen over. See, that's what we want. Look at this. There you go. Look, it's gone all wrong. It's the best bit of my talk, isn't it? And so you're laughing now. That's what people love. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to edit stuff like that. I keep all that in.
Yeah.
I said to Scott, I was filming a video yesterday and it got bored halfway through. And I turned around and I said, this is getting bored. I walked off the camera, dropped my trousers, and then walked back in to the camera with my trousers dropped around my ankles. But I put a black square because it's funnier. I put a black square over it so it's all censored as I go across, because that's funnier. I just think it's boring. Does this make sense? What else have we got on the questions? Thanks for this evening. Very useful. I will defo check out Patreon. And then they've gone. That's John Nash. They've had to go.
Yeah, John had to go. Yeah, that's fine. He did text me.
How much time do you dedicate to these channels? Right. I'm having to earn my living out of it now, and I've got a mortgage and everything. So the main channel does at least 7 videos a week. That's one every single day. They're all an hour and a half long. I've got another YouTube channel, and it's only got short videos. That's a political channel, that is. And I'm doing 3 a day. But they are just literally me driving around my car talking. I just put the news on and react to it, and whatever goes on. Then on Patreon, I probably do a week on Patreon 4 videos.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So it's basic. If you want to know, it's 7 days a week and it's about 12 hours a day. I'm done
I'm
now.
going to shoot, but thank you ever so much. It's been very insightful. Thank
I'll
you ever
come
so
back, come away and have a think about it, right?
Thank you.
And I'll come back and then you'll have some ideas and we'll but yeah, go and have a look at Patreon. That's the
I look forward to it.
yeah.
Thank
And
you
have
ever
a
so
look
much,
at my
Andy.
YouTube channel and go and subscribe onto it and put some comments up and say I'm the guy that I was chatting to in the meeting.
That dropped his phone.
Yeah, they dropped his phone. Yeah.
Have a good night, fellas.
You like you into, Ben?
Say that again.
What music are you into?
Well, I have the Mars Volta behind me. I know that you like your prog sort of stuff, so I like all types of stuff. I like from Kenny Burrell, like our band, more sort of alternative indie more than anything else, really. But
Beautiful.